Well, I haven't got a clue what is going to happen today, but I'm way up in the Scottish Highlands and I'm at a place called Lochern Head. And here underneath this bridge is the site of the Caledonian railway that used to run from Perth up through Callander to Crean-Larrick and then onwards either to Fort William or to Oban. So many years ago PJ and myself walked down a fair length of this old track bed, but it's now apparently a dedicated cycle and walkway. So just down there I can see some notices, so we're going to go down there and have a look. I can see the track bed over the wall down there, but it's not walkable or cyclable, and I think there's ghosts around here because my bag has just fell down off this parapet. So let's take a look down here. Excuse my shake. That's it, get the camera right. There is the track bed, and then you've got that path going up there. Now where that goes I don't know. I don't even know where the proper track bed goes, but we'll go down here. I hope that I can be heard okay. It's quite quiet up here. This is the first bit of the magnificent scenery. This is noted to be one of the most magnificent, picturesque, scenic areas of Scotland. And just down here we have a notice saying the National Cycle Network. So that is where I'm going to be going in a moment. Of course I can't leave the camera running all the time. My bike's up there on the bridge, we've got a dog barking, and as I'm in my shorts I don't want to get my legs bitten off. And it also says cats, end of public right of way, etc. So join me again in a little while. Well, I've come down onto the cycleway. There is the bridge that I was standing on a few moments ago, and you can see the path going up away from the actual Caledonian railway track bed, so probably we'll drop back down on that in a little while, a bit further along the line. Okay, now I don't know, I've got an idea that this was probably, could have been the site of a station. I don't know, but we're not going that way, we're going up that track under the bridge. Well, this is quite a steep climb up here. You can just see the bridge just beyond those posts, and it takes some time, takes some effort pushing your bike up here. But there's our very first view of Lochern, and right down behind those trees is the village Lochern. Excuse me, I just had a wasp crawling up my leg. Is the village of Lochern Head. Well, a moment ago I actually saw somebody up on this lonely track. A man, a woman and about 5 dogs. But I've got to admit, the dogs never bit my leg off, they were very well behaved. That's Lochern. Right, don't know what this is going to be like, but here we go, a little bit of riding. Lochern is over there, Lochern Head down in the valley. I'm going to have to stop here to take a picture with my still camera. Look at that, absolutely beautiful, isn't it? Camera's a little bit shaky. I've just puffed and puffed to come up that hill. Absolutely beautiful. I can remember walking along here with PJ, but we was on the actual track bed, whereas now this is a dedicated path been built over the top or higher up the mountainside because that track bed is obviously very boggy, I would think. But this is a dedicated cycle walkway, miles and miles long. I'm only going to do about 5 miles along it and then come back by the main road, the Korean Larwick to Perth road. And everywhere you go along mountain tracks and mountain roads, you've got sometimes torrents of water rushing down the mountainside. In this case it's just a small stream, but that is running from the mountainside way up there, coming down here under this cycleway and out into the loch. So let's cycle on and see what's round the corner, shall we? No telling. Oh, looks as if we're going up higher. That surprises me. Well, I'm not going to be able to hold a camera and pedal up there, so I'm going to have to switch the camera off. Well, it's really puffy, this first bit. They called this the zigzag. I saw it on the map, and I've climbed up much higher now. And once again, the lovely little mountain stream there. That water's got to be drinkable, full of vitamins, do you a world of good, but I'm not clambering down there to get it. Then across the other side of the cycle path is a lovely tree with all these berries on. Absolutely beautiful. And then you come up, let's walk along a little bit, get another lovely clear view of Loch Earn. Well, I wonder what else we're going to see. We're way up high above the actual railway track bed. Just to give you some idea, that's the road where I've parked the car. So you can see how high I've had to climb. It's taken me about half an hour. Way up. Well, I didn't reset my speedo from yesterday, but I know it said 10:32. It's now 11:18, so that's nearly a mile, just between three quarters of a mile uphill from where I parked the car. And I've stopped my puffing a bit. There's the loch through the trees there now. Difficult to make out really, isn't it? And we've come up, that's where we've come up. It's 10% grade, and it tells you to dismount if you're going downhill. And I'll tell you what, that was really hard coming up there. So anyway, it looks a bit flatter now, but we've got one of these signposts here that down in Northamptonshire, they're dedicated, yeah, the Royal Bank of Scotland. There you go, look. If I can keep my hands still. The Royal Bank of Scotland. They've installed or donated 1,000 of these all across Great Britain. To Caledonian it's 7 miles. I'll be doing about 5 of those and coming back down the main road. Hopefully the camera battery will last, so you'll be able to see some more pictures. There you go. Well, here we go along this cycle track. I sincerely hope we're going to drop back down onto the railway track bed, because it was so interesting. And you can see the cars going up the main road and everything. It's a hell of a climb for the cars, and it's just magnificent views. As I say, I'm hoping to come back down by the road so that we can look up and see where we've cycled all around this mountain. Okay.
so quiet up here. A little bit easier cycling now, but I can still feel it pulling on my legs. It looks as if I'm going slightly downhill, but I know damn well I'm not, by the pressure I'm putting on my legs. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful, isn't it? Right, way down there, just north of the Loch Earn, is another railway viaduct. It's got nothing to do with this one. I can't even remember whether it actually linked to this one, but PJ and I have actually walked across that viaduct. Right, now I've got a bit of a problem here. I'm not sure now on what I've told you is true. It must be probably about 20 years since PJ and I walked this railway, and also on that viaduct down there. Now I reckon when I started filming, that bridge that I filmed, and then we came up the zigzag up that steep climb of 3/4 of a mile, I reckon that railway was the one that came, the trains would come across on that viaduct and then go under that bridge where I started filming. And I think now that we are actually on the Caledonian railway track bed. That viaduct, I think, down there was owned by the Highland Railway. So what gives me that idea is this. Right, now we're way up on the side of the mountain. They put a new barrier up here, and here's the old one, which I think existed and was built when the Caledonian built their railway along this track bed that we're going along, that I thought was specially built. And I said we was going to drop down, hopefully, onto the original track bed. Well, I actually think we're on it. Just shows how you can be deceived. So there you go. Hopefully we'll now find that viaduct that I was talking about. There's the road down there. That's the main road. That's going from Caledonian and Perth up to Crianlarich and Oban up that way. Anyway, so there you go. We're going to come back down that road, probably. Well, I'm even more convinced now that this was the railway track bed. That's a retaining wall. That's hundreds of years, well, not hundreds, but 100 years old or more, that is. So, we really must be on the track bed itself. They wouldn't have laid all this, special track pathway for cyclists and walkers when there's a track bed lower down. It's just got to be on the track bed. Just got to be on the track bed. Got to be on the track bed. So quiet and peaceful. I don't know whether I can ride across here one-handed. This is like a cyclist cattle grid, this is. Oh well, let's see what happens, shall we? Yes, did it. There you go, you see. Little bit of confidence. Right, I'll switch off for the time being. Well, you've got the main road down there. You can't see it because it's shrouded by trees. And this is, I'm saying this now, 100% convinced that this is the railway track bed. And this is what I like. Look at this. This is all so natural. You needn't worry about bringing a drink. That's just literally dropping off the mountainside, that is. And just come down here, look, there's these little flowers here. Just come down here, go for a little walk with me. Come walk with me. Oh, I love it when I'm out like this. I just don't want to go home. But I have to, because June had missed me. Wouldn't you, June? Do you know I can feel that splashing on me here? Look at that. It's beautiful, isn't it? You can't get anything more natural than that. Just a little bit more scenery. It's all you're going to see on this trip, I tell you. Just a little bit more for you. We're still climbing up a very shallow gradient. There's just a little bit of breeze up here on the mountainside. I'm going to point the camera up now. You can see by looking up there that we are halfway up the mountain. If you can call it a mountain, I don't know when a hill becomes a mountain, but it is a damn good height, I can assure you of that. I will add that I'm not looking through the viewfinder at this time. Get a different view, of course, when we come back down the road. Probably wear our brakes out, it's all downhill. Wow, look at that. Oh, sorry. Do you know, an interesting point just reminded me. Every morning, the Caledonian Railway used to have to send a light engine up this track to check that no boulders had fallen down on the tracks prior to a passenger train coming up the line. Every morning they had to do that. It was so vulnerable to falling rock. Now you can see why. Look how deep this is. This is like a ravine that they've had to put the track bed over and then build this wall. There we are. I'm holding the camera out. Be a little bit shaky, but just to give you some idea of the work that went into building this railway round a mountain. Fantastic, isn't it? Well, I've now passed a couple of people. There's not many people up here, I'll tell you. I dare say there is at the weekend though, but I just stopped here just to show the brickwork that's been built here to stop the rocks from falling down. And in the bricks you can see all those slits which are all put there for drainage purposes. The remains of an old bridge with new bars put on it, and guess what we have just over there? Look, that is the viaduct that I was talking to you about. When PJ and I came some 18-20 years ago, there was no ironwork to stop you falling off the edge, and we shall see that viaduct from that road when we cycle back down the road. Marvellous, isn't it? Beautiful. Once again we got the sound of beautiful fresh running water. And that's where we're going. These few pictures are taken, I'm actually on the viaduct. See where that stream, it's a mountain stream coming down there, look. And then if you look over the other side, the viaduct, the mountain side, would that be a relic of a bygone age? Can't think of any other reason why there'd be a telegraph pole there. Must have been for the railway, mustn't it? Because this was a single track railway, this was. Can understand why they had to send that light engine up, to make sure there were no boulders on the line. By golly. So there you are. This is one of the main reasons why I wanted to come along this railway, to come on this viaduct again. Now, like I said, you remember when me and PJ came all those years ago, there were no metal barriers here. It was just this low wall. So they've done a lot of work which would have cost one hell of a lot of money just to bring pleasure to cyclists and walkers, and I think that is fantastic. Full marks to all those concerned. Well, here's another feat of engineering. Look at all these rocks. And they didn't have no massive diggers to shift the rock. They just had dynamite and blew it apart. And they actually blew their way through this rock here to lay the track in between, or get the track through. Look at that. All the blokes that worked on this railway are long since gone, but they've left their mark, haven't they? Absolutely fantastic. Just blasted their way through the rock the best way that they knew how. Down here they even built a piece of wall, put in a piece of brick wall as an additional support. So this bit here, look, see there, look, must have been very vulnerable here to falling rock, so they added this brickwork. This is only just up from the viaduct. Another nice little mountain waterfall here. What I call baby waterfalls, but they're all heading downhill and will eventually join a bigger river. Beautiful. The peace and the quiet and the trickling of water. And that water comes underneath where I'm standing and goes down into that burn. I think that's called a burn, a Scottish burn. We'd call it a brook. And that then runs down there, and that will run down into Loch Earn. And from there, who knows? I don't know. Do you know? Well, we're getting towards the end of our railway part of the day, and here's another retaining wall, and they've made allowance for a stream coming down the mountainside. The retaining wall carries on along there, as you can see. Some nice heather up there. I dare say when there's been a heavy rain there's quite a torrent of water comes down here, but the looks of it at the moment, it's very, very mossy, so maybe there's not as much water these days. That's lovely, that is. Absolutely beautiful. Another small viaduct here. Tumbling, rushing water, rushing to get into that lock down the bottom of the valley. And where, sorry, John knocked the camera there. And where's it all coming from? Up on the mountain, look. Pity it's all shrouded by trees, but still a nice sight. There we are. Not far to go now. And then we'll be bombing back down that road. Nice bridge here. Over 100 years old, that is. Good Scottish stone. Well, we've covered about 5 miles, and that's the end of us cycling along the railway track bed, because we have the road here and the actual track bed continues forward, but it's not open to cycling and things like that. What you actually do is to cross the road and go over there and see the blue signs, and that then is another cycle track, or a continuation of this one if you want, to take you down to the Falls of Dochart at Caledonian, where we've been a number of times in the car. So in a very few minutes, when I've had a drink, we'll be going down the road back to Lochern Head. But before we do, just walk past a faithful machine here, because we have a lock here, and to be honest, I don't know what this lock is called, but I do know that from when PJ and I came, that the trees have grown a hell of a lot bigger. Some lovely heather down there, look. Beautiful. There. Once again, so peaceful. Butterfly down there on a what looks like a toadstool. I think it's ours actually, on a flower. Lovely, isn't it? Beautiful. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the ride up the railway track, and just many thanks for the Caledonian Railway for building it. Right, this is the top of the hill right down into Lochern Head. I do not intend carrying the camera and filming while I'm cycling, because this road is quite fast with traffic. But I have got my orange day glow on, so hopefully they'll take care and be courteous to me. Well, there's a little bit of breeze getting up, but I'm sure that you can see the wall supporting the railway that we've just been cycling along, and it's just magnificent scenery again. And of course the reason that I've stopped is to get another look at this viaduct. Be lovely to see a steam train running across it, wouldn't it? So there you go, and that's where we're going to cycle. We're going to cycle right down the valley now, back to that Lochern. It's all downhill, so I don't have to pedal. It's all planned that way. Well, it's a little bit noisy here, but here we are back in the village of Lochern Head, and the stone pillar there is the railway that we initially thought we wasn't going to go along, and we went up that steep zigzag. Well, that is the railway that came across the viaduct. Whether we'll be able to see the viaduct or not, I do not know. So there you go. Well, I think this would be as good a place as any to finish off this film. I'm standing on the river bridge in Lochern Head, and I can see that viaduct, but only one of the arches, unfortunately. The trees over the last 20 years have grown, same as we've all grown. I sincerely hope you've enjoyed this film as much as I've enjoyed taking it. It's been absolutely delightful going along that railway. So I'll say au revoir and just turn the camera around so you can see the viaduct. I've
done a bit of investigating on the bike, but can't see any way of getting up on it. So join me again sometime, won't you? Just turn the camera around now so that you can see.